The Vulnerable Hero podcast begins now. Hi everyone, I'm Mack, the host of The Vulnerable Hero and the newly announced executive director and founder of Vulnerable Heroes, which creates safe spaces and creates environments and experiences where men feel safe enough to take their mask off, to unmask and really look internally at the cycles that keep playing out over and over and over again so that they can experience how vulnerability leads to their freedom emotionally, physically, how they physically can feel free, and spiritually, how they can get aligned to a higher purpose and know that their legacy that they leave should be the highest purpose that they focus on. And I define legacy as focusing on being in relationship or a husband first. And if you're not in relationship with someone, my question is, are you worthy of someone else's love? Are you worthy of do you work on yourself? Are you lovable? See, most people, and I would say men, are constantly thinking of the other, what they don't get or what someone is doing. But I always focus on, when it comes to legacy, are you worthy of your partner's love? So that's step one in legacy. Step two is being a father or stewarding the next generation. Are you stewarding the next generation well? And do you receive wisdom from the previous generation that you can pass on? Number three, health, mind, body, and soul. It's not just enough to have a healthy body. It's also not just enough to have a healthy mind. We must focus on our soul and nurture our soul, because our soul is truly the essence of who we are. And number four, and may it always remain number four, is career. And most men look at career as an end. They will do whatever means necessary to further the end of their career, and they think if they just hit a certain threshold or year in service or dollar amount that they will be able to rest. And sadly, that is the complete opposite of the reality. Reality is we should be seeing our work as a means to bettering people's lives. So whether we work 20 years, 30 years, 100 years, it doesn't matter the length. It's all about the impact. And I look at, and you look at, work, our career, our jobs as a means to bettering people's lives. First in our own families, second in our communities, and thirdly, in the greater society at large. And then number five is friendship. Do you surround yourself with people who show you unconditional love? And if you don't, if you surround yourself, and I don't care if they have the term family associated with them from a blood relation, but anyone who doesn't show you unconditional love, you are actually keeping yourself in a self-imposed prison, because that guilt, shame, judgment, conditional experience of emotional soothing is keeping you trapped. So number five is, are you experiencing friendships who show you unconditional love? This is what Vulnerable Heroes is all about. It is about I want to say this very clear. The time is right now for whoever you are listening to stop whatever you're doing, sign up. Either sign up go to vulnerableheroes.org and fill out information and sign up, or go to lucasmack.com/retreats and sign up for one of the retreats. But the time is now. I am here to say to men specifically that when you cause pain to another, be it someone outside of you or be it yourself, If you are drinking to escape, watching media to escape, if you are addicted to pornography, if you just check out because you cannot deal with the stress, the pressures, and the obligations that you feel are imposed upon you, I am speaking to you. Because if you don't face the pain and speak the pain so you can release the pain, whatever that pain is, whatever you are unwilling to open up and unlock and release, it will seep or sometimes intentionally go out and affect those around you. It will hurt your loved ones. It will hurt your career and your coworkers. And ultimately, what it ends up doing is just showing you that it hurts yourself, even though it's always hurt yourself from the beginning. When you heal, the powerful ripple effect is incredible because healed people heal people, hurt people hurt people. Tonight I put my kids down, my wife's working, and well, you're watching, whenever you're watching this, yeah, tonight, I'm recording at night. Tonight I put my kids down, and my youngest has been afraid to sleep in her room the past, since last Thursday, so almost a week now. And the reason why all of a sudden she became scared to sleep in her room is because my son came home from a sports camp and he was terrified. At the end of camp, the last day of a week-long sports camp, one of the coaches, who's a young 16-year-old kid who's just thinking he's doing a funny thing, tells the kids a scary ghost monster story. But he took it even further. He pulled up a YouTube video and showed them the skeleton that looked alive, like a zombie, climbing into a room of this kid in a video, and it terrified my son. He didn't know it wasn't real. And unfortunately, that was poor judgment, but it really shook up my son. He was crying, he was scared, and we had to tell him, like, that's video. There's lots of videos that you make up. And he's eventually dealt with that, and we talked through it, and I didn't tell him to tough it out or stuff it in. We talked through, like, why you're scared. Are you scared you're going to die? Are you scared you're going to get hurt? Let's walk through that. And he started to heal, and yet my 3-year-old daughter, who never even saw the video, but just experienced the fear of my son, who's 5, she became afraid, and she didn't want to sleep in her bed, and she said she was afraid of the skeleton. So for the past 5 days, she's been sleeping in our bed in the middle of the night, coming in, or just she's been falling asleep in our bed before we go to bed, and we put her to bed. And tonight I said, it's got to stop. You got to sleep in your bed. There's nothing to be afraid of. And then I said, if you're afraid, I'll sleep with you on the ground. I'll stay on the ground till you fall asleep. And she said, okay. And she fell asleep. I almost fell asleep, but she fell asleep. And I thought, isn't that incredible? The ripple effect of fear, even though it was first person for my son, just the ripple effect of that fear affected my daughter, which affected then me. But you see, the beauty of that story is I want to show how easily fear, negativity, anything that is not loving and uplifting and giving and powerful and creates more good in the world. Anything that takes away your joy, your peace, your safety, your sense of security, your sense of belonging, your sense of self-love, your sense of gratitude, your sense of just feeling content in yourself, whatever takes away from that will affect you until you can say, it stops with me. The pain stops with me. The new motto, so here's the tagline for Vulnerable Heroes, is the pain stops with me. The freedom starts with us being the healed people, specifically men who heal. And I thought it was a beautiful thing for me to lay next to my daughter, not trying to tell her to tough it out, just process it with her and said, do you want me to lay here till you fall asleep? And she's sleeping. That is an example of how we're hurting people, continue to hurt people in the sense that my son caused fear in my daughter. My daughter was affecting my sleep, but I was able to say, no, it's okay. I'll lay with you. I'll stay with you. Go ahead and sleep. this is how we get to be in the world. When your coworker or the people you work with or your bosses or your clients or your employees or whoever the title is of the people that you surround yourself with every day, when they act in ways that affect you, you can say, okay, but let's process. What can I do to solve what you're struggling with? What can I do to listen? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you need space? And you don't get triggered. Being triggered, that spring that just goes inside you, that little flinch or the flare or the anger or the disgust or the shame, whatever it is that you get triggered with. I want you to start looking at what causes the trigger and where did it first arise in your life? At what point did that trigger arise? This is what it is all about. When I say creating safe spaces, I'm not talking about woo-woo. I'm not talking about touchy-feely. I'm saying to men in the eye, look at me. You are safe, but the only way you're going to be free is when you step into the power of your own vulnerability, take your mask off, and allow the love that is already waiting to fill you. And then to talk about it and to process it out loud. And then the beautiful thing about vulnerable heroes is you see other men do the same thing and realize, wow, I'm not alone. I don't have to look like the cool guy, the tough guy, the smart guy. I can just be me. At one time, just a little boy who wanted to just have fun and be safe. We didn't reject love from people. We didn't scorn them. We weren't racist in this country. Children are not racist. They have to be taught that evil. We are not mean. That has to be taught. That is a learned behavior to a hurt person. When children are hit, what do you think how is that going to seep out? When they're quote unquote spanked, even though that's just hitting, it's just a masquerade word for striking a child. But when they're spanked, what do you think is going to happen? All of a sudden they reprogram their insides and oh, yep, that's totally fixed. That pain of being struck by the person that's supposed to show them unconditional love will seep out somewhere. Maybe it's a lack of self-love and knowing that they are valued, or maybe they're going to go hurt another kid. But that pain goes out somewhere. Now, that's talking about our generation to children right now. I'm asking what happened to you that has affected you from that moment of it happening to now. Is the life you're living truly the life, if you could wave a magic wand, the one you'd want to live? Is it the life you want to live? Is it the life of dreams? Is it the life of inspiration and passion and purpose? Is it the life that triggers other people's pilot lights to get fully doused in propane and natural gas and just blaze? Are you a model of how the world should be? Because what I believe is every person wants to be better than they are. But when men specifically don't find the way out, sadly, they choose out. And the numbers show that 79% of all suicides in the United States alone are men. Guys that look tough, that look cool, that had the money, that had the cars, that had the success. 26 veterans commit suicide every day in the United States. Guys that had at one time a purpose greater than themselves, when you lose that, when you lose the vision. The old prophet said, where there's a lack of vision, the people perish. And my question to you is, what vision do you have for your life? And if you truly want to see it come to fruition, then come and join me in this mission. Join Vulnerable Heroes, listen and share the Vulnerable Hero podcast, sign up for a retreat, and donate to the cause. We are a nonprofit. We're in the process of getting the 501c3 set up, but in the state of Washington, we're a nonprofit, and you can donate. You can help. You can subsidize another man who may not be able to afford it, his own freedom. Churches give every 3 weeks a sermon on where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. I reject that. And I say where we get our treasure is where our heart is. So employers out there, you hold the hearts of your employees in your hands simply because you are the source of income in their lives. How are you treating them? Do you inspire them? Are you bringing emotional intelligence programs into your workplace? Are you being a vulnerable hero in your own life, in your own workspace, so that your employees can process their own life? What do you think? Life ends at the door of your building and all of a sudden they are to live to a different conduct? No. So where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And we don't need to be giving to causes that don't truly transform lives. We need to be giving to causes that do transform lives and do go to the truth and source and core mission of our reality. And it is this: where love is present, unconditional love, ahava love, constantly giving love, where love is present, truth will come forth. And truth is the only thing that will make you free. So if you don't feel safe enough to share your truth and utter it out of your mouth and stand in courage and be vulnerable, then you will never be free. That's the sad reality of it. You could be free. You could be free right now. You can be free. But until you feel safe enough and surround yourself with people who show you unconditional love and utter out of your mouth every painful thing that has ever happened to you, you can't be free, my brother and my sister. But the beautiful thing is, where love is present, truth will come forth, resulting in our personal freedom. You got it. You got it. I'm with you. I'm walking with you. I'm producing this content for you. This isn't for myself. This is for you. Whoever's listening right now, either you're watching this video or you're listening to this podcast, your freedom is on the other side of vulnerability. And my invitation for you is to become a vulnerable hero in your own life. So join me. Go to vulnerableheroes.org. If you have financial means by which you are looking to make a big contribution in the world, donate to Vulnerable Heroes. We're going to create community centers all over the country: Seattle, San Diego, Denver, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and many, many more cities. We're going to have programs in local elementary schools. We're going to have men's retreats all over the country. Now, the community centers are branded for men, but that doesn't mean that it's men exclusive. It's for men and their families. But we're going to have programs. We're going to have therapists. We're going to have meditation rooms. We're going to have yoga studio. We're going to have a whole bunch of spaces, and you're going to feel like, hey, this is the safe space. And if you need to process, if you need to take a night away and cool off instead of going to the bar and getting loaded or taking drugs or doing something that's going to cause more harm, you can come stay at these community centers and have a cooled off night. That is what I am creating. I know we can change society and change the world when we take the mask off and stop trying to be cool. This is not to be offensive to anyone, but I don't care who you are. You're not cool. I've been with billionaires who think they're cool jockeying amongst themselves. I've been with millionaires who think they're cool jockeying amongst themselves. I used to go to the homeless once a week for a year and a half when I was a TV reporter in San Antonio. And even amongst the homeless down in poverty, one person would have 3 cigarettes and another person would have 5. And the person that had 5 felt he was greater than the person with 3. It is a human condition in our sense of hurt and pain to compare amongst ourselves and try to validate our own existence. And I'm saying the time to take the mask off is now, so that you can heal and heal another, so that you can be the change you want to see in the world and stop complaining and stop looking to politics, stop looking at some external force to change that which you can change yourself. So join me. Join us on this incredible mission for the pain to stop with me, the pain to stop with you, and the freedom to start with us. My name is Lucas Mack. Thank you so much for listening to the Vulnerable Hero podcast. I am your host, where I define vulnerability as having the courage to experience love in its purest form. Go to vulnerableheroes.org. Check it out, look it up, and donate. The time is now. There's so many negative forces in this world that people give their money to. It's time to give the money to the true change agents in the world. So let's go. Let's do it together. I love you guys. Have an amazing day, and I'll talk to you soon.